Appreciate you guys coming here, obviously on holiday, and appreciate you guys coming to talk about our team. First of all, I'd like to thank Abilene Christian again. I thought, going back and watching the tape, thought they came to play. They were down. They showed moxie and toughness to come back, and I thought it was good for our team to have to battle back some adversity, have to battle back in the second half, and try to finish a game versus a worthy adversary. So I thought that was great for all parties involved. And that's really kind of, for a first game, you never really know what you're going to get from the other team. You don't even really know what you're going to get from your own team. And it's almost like an MRI. You have to sort of go, and it's an opportunity to look inside and see who you are, see who does what, see where you're deficient, where you're better than you thought. And that's what we're going to do today. Today's Tell the Truth Monday for us. As a staff, we spent a lot of time yesterday really looking at our team inside and out, coaches, players, everything that we do, and trying to evaluate the good, the bad, the ugly, and see where we are. And, that's the reality of football. Bill Parcells, used to say, you are what you put on tape. And I met with a couple guys today. You aren't what you tweet. You aren't what you did in high school. You aren't how many stars you had in recruiting. You are what you put on tape on Saturday. And we are, as a team, we put on tape on Saturday. And our goal is to have a great team, not just to win, but to have a great team. We want to have great players. And so we're going to take this week and really evaluate, ourselves and each guy and come up with a plan to make sure that we are helping all of our players become great players and helping our team become a great team. And, when you look at yourself, if you're not where you need to be, you can make excuses or you can make corrections. And it's easy to make excuses. It feels good. It's tonic for the week. And ours is a program that we want built on toughness. And that toughness isn't just physical toughness; it's mental toughness. To look at yourself and say, "Hey, I said I'm going to do these things, and I got to the game, and I did or I did not do them." And I'm hopeful that after doing that, I think Taylor said we played 22 first game players on Saturday. 22 guys got it into their first football game for Baylor. So a bunch of guys now have a chance to look at themselves and see where they are. Coaches, we have a chance to look at ourselves and see where we are, and make the corrections. And I expect us to make significant improvement from week 1 to week 2, and we need to make significant improvement from week 1 to week 2. There were some really good things in the game. I thought we had a couple guys that played with tremendous edge. I mean, they played the game the way it's supposed to be played, and we're going to watch that as a team today. And there's guys like Chris Miller, Ira Lewis, John Lovett, Jermichael Hasty, Pat Lawrence, Jalen Hurd, and Chris Platt, and some others that just played with tremendous edge, that played without the ball, that played as hard as they could. It was probably one of the finer downfield blocking games I've ever seen from receiving corps. I mean, Jalen Hurd, blocked as hard as he could for his teammates. Chris Platt, we're talking about a guy coming off knee surgery, not the biggest man. I mean, knockdowns and physical plays and high-effort plays, and those are guys that want to catch the football and make big plays and score touchdowns and all that stuff, and they went out there and they were complete receivers, those two. And it was honestly, yesterday watching, I said to myself, my goodness, I haven't seen that much in the football that I've been around, and it was something special I haven't seen. There were some elite special teams efforts, Jermichael Hasty and John Lovett, Chad Kelly, guys racing down the field, and we challenged them to do better on special teams, and we saw that. And then finally, defensively, while it wasn't perfect, there was a shutout in the fourth quarter. And if you guys will walk around our building, walk around our offices, that's one of the things we talk about. And they found a way to get it done. And even though Abilene Christian had the ball on the 27-yard line to start the fourth quarter, under duress, we found a way to get a shutout in the fourth quarter. And it was cool to see, in the fourth quarter when it was clear we were going to win the game, who was really into that and who wasn't. Who was sitting there talking and enjoying the fact that we were going to win. And there's Jermichael Hasty yelling at Francis. I mean, there's Hasty's yelling at Coach Fran saying we need a shutout in the fourth quarter. And, I just think that those are the things we need to look at right now as we're trying to build this team and build this brand. Like the last play of the game, Garrett McGuire rolls out and gets hit and won't go down, and he's fighting. And then you see Jalen Hurd come running over. He still has his helmet on the last play of the game, and Hurd comes running over and picks him up, and Hasty comes running, Platt, all those guys. Like, some of our best players weren't too cool on Saturday. They understood the importance of the way we were going to play in the fourth quarter. And I was proud that our second-team offensive line, I think they were all freshmen out there, Jason Moore and Khalil Keith and Ty Smith and Ryan Miller alternating at center. And, oh, my goodness, I'm going to mess up everyone's names who was all out there. Henry Kling was out there, and Connor Galvin. Those guys got out there with 5 minutes left, and we ran the clock out and kept the ball. And so those might seem like little things, but it was really important to me that we weren't a front-running team the way we finished, and I was proud of that. There's obviously things we have to get better at, and I know you're all just waiting for me to talk about the quarterback position, but I'm going to talk about everything else first. I just didn't think there was enough of that brand that we wanted. The fact that we were up, and we're up 24-7 or 17-0, and allowed them, really because of a lack of effort and toughness, allowed them to make it a game at halftime. A lot of respect to them, but it's not what we want. And I didn't feel that edge on the sideline once we got up. It was like relief and excitement and a lot of guys laughing and talking and music's playing and guys are dancing. And that's not football. Football is when you have someone down and you put them away. And that's the edge that we have to get as we move forward. On offense, too many penalties took away big plays. And, really a touchdown and really 2 touchdowns taken away due to penalty. And it didn't matter, but it will at some point. And on defense, too many missed tackles. And, there's missed tackles where you get shook and there's missed tackles where you dive at the ground because you're really not there to hit anybody anymore. And we've had too many guys diving and not enough guys trying to be physical and be tough. And that's why, a team that they only averaged 80 yards rushing last year. And I heard Coach after the game talk about this. They ran for 220 yards against us. Completely unacceptable, I know, on our end. So as we get ready for next week, a team that ran for 220 yards last year against us in UTSA, we got to go to their place. We've got to get our defensive rushing issues down. And so that comes down to toughness, it comes down to angles, and it comes down to effort. And I know Phil and the guys are on it. It just comes down to our edge as well. So we're excited to get ready to play UTSA. Obviously last year, I don't talk about last year in terms of like revenge or any of those things, just the respect I have for their team. They came in here and they out-toughed us. They out-physicaled us. They ran the ball. They held us for, I think it was 2 of 11 on third down, 18%, 1 of 3 in the red zone. We had 10 penalties. They were the type of team that I respect and like. They lined up and they just put their hands on us physically, and they weren't intimidated. They didn't care that we're in the Big 12. They didn't care about what stadium they were in. They were excited to play. And they blitzed us and they got after us and they played man. And so we've worked really hard to become a team that has that type of brand where we want to be physical and we want to be tough and we want to attack. And we have, a week now to get ready to play a good physical team, a team with elite speed on defense in UTSA. So I thought both quarterbacks played well. I was proud of them. Charlie's healthy. They precautionary went and looked at his back, and he should be healthy. Josh Malin will be out at least 4 weeks. Hopefully we'll have Jake Fu Morgan back and maybe even Giancarlo back this week. So I thought Eliasa and Connor Galvin got out there and played well. And if we can add a couple more offensive linemen to that mix, I think it would be good. So, again, really proud of our guys, happy for our guys. But if you want to make that big jump from week 1 to week 2, you really have to self-examine. And we'll celebrate the good things we did, fix the bad things, and hopefully become a better team next week.
Matt, do you still plan to go the same rotation? Start Charlie, then bring in Jalen, or I guess maybe 2 series each? Or,
so I went 2-2 last games that felt right. I probably would make that decision closer to maybe Thursday in terms of how we'll do it. If we played today, I would probably who would go out first. I would have to see how Charlie feels at coming off his back and all that. I thought both guys responded well. I thought both guys were tremendous teammates. At one point, we were on. I was telling someone earlier we were on offense, and we were in the huddle, and Charlie was running the team, and I always like to kind of let the quarterback know, hey, you'll be in next series. They can get warmed up and all that, or in their mind get themselves ready. And I said to Jalen, hey, you're in next series, right? Because we were just going 2-2. We weren't doing anything based on if he plays what. We were just saying 2-2, and Jalen looked at me and said, Coach, this play. Don't worry about next series. This play. And so I thought both guys handled it really in an awesome manner. And both guys made big plays. So I would love to play them both again this week. I think it's going to be good for us in the long term. But I'll also see how practice goes and those things. And, we're just in the beginning stages of our game plan as we evaluate. They have a new offensive coordinator. They have a new defensive coordinator. They have a new special teams coordinator. So you're looking at all these games from last year, and you're also looking at what they did in game 1 and trying to piece everything together. So, but I would expect us to play both.
With the skill set of the two quarterbacks, how much easier does it make to run a rotation like that, knowing that they can do some similar things?
Yeah, I mean, they're both really good quarterbacks. And so, if you watch this last game, we threw drop back. We threw some run-pass option RPOs. We ran some even triple option plays. I mean, Charlie's best play, the play he made on the triple option, was an elite play where he got the ball to Ebner and was about a half a block away from being a touchdown. So, both guys can do a lot of the same things, and then I think when they get out there, you try to take advantage of what each guy does well as well. We didn't have a lot of reason to scramble. I thought the O-line protected pretty well. Charlie got hit on the first third down, and then after that we settled down. So some of Charlie's gifts in terms of scrambling and keeping things alive didn't show up that game, but they'll have to show up this game. And this is a team that's going to line up and blitz us and come after us. And, they've got some elite rushers as well when they don't blitz. So, some of different skill sets that maybe weren't needed on Saturday will be needed probably either this Saturday or moving forward.
Matt, defensively, you guys had one sack, I think Lockhart. You mentioned the run defense has to get better. Is that an area that, as you guys looked at film, is that another area that needs to improve? Yeah,
I wasn't too overly concerned with our pass rush. I thought they did a good job of getting the ball and getting it out, kind of raking it out. And then once they got behind, they weren't in the, hey, we're going to go try to drop back and catch up mode, right? They were just sort of like, hey, they stayed with, let's run the quarterback. So it was a little bit more of hey, we're not going to drop back and throw the ball and get guys, have this get lopsided. They played it a different way. The run defense, I think, upsets all of us, and really more the big plays in the run game. They did some really cool things schematically that I really liked and got the ball outside to the perimeter, and we weren't able to win on the perimeter. And, they had the running back, and I don't mean to disrespect him. His name escapes me right now just because I'm on to the next week, number 20. But, he's a kid that signed with Cal. He's a kid that ran 4.4 in high school, and we knew he was fast. And he showed us just how fast he was. He outran us. And so if we want to be an elite defense, our secondary has to get those guys down, and we have to win on the perimeter. And we didn't do that at the level we wanted on Saturday. The first touchdown run, you couldn't probably draw that up that would score, and that's just reps, right? I mean, we got to get those guys down, and we will. They'll get better. And so, I say all these things in terms of, hey, these are things we have to get better at, but I'm fully confident. I know our guys will. It's just you got to get out there and play and see it and say, okay, hey, we're not tackling real well. I showed the defense, though, on Tuesday. We practiced, and we're going against a scout team. We had a lot of guys not really wanting to hit on Tuesday. And what happens in practice happens in the games. I mean, I believe that with all my heart. That touchdown that Marcus caught in the corner, that elite catch, he made the same catch on Tuesday on the same exact play versus the same exact look on Wednesday. So hopefully this week practice we'll see a little bit more edge from defense in terms of our, angles and getting guys down.
Malin's injury occurred about 3 offensive plays into the game. Anderson came in. Doesn't seem like your offense missed a step. Does that speak to the depth that you have to work with this year compared to last year?
Well, we're certainly more, much deeper. There was a couple games last year where Eliasa was the second left tackle, and we were trying to redshirt him, and he was ready to go, and he certainly didn't play perfect. I thought he got better as the game went on. He was a guy. I kept saying, hey, you'll be fine, hoping I can maybe get him in the second half and give him some confidence. All of a sudden he's out there. And the nice thing was, as we called the game, we didn't have to say, hey, let's run this to the right away from, we kind of settled down, and he'll make a major step this week. I thought Connor Galvin got in there as a true freshman, and he played tight end in sort of the goal line stuff and then got a little bit of tackle, and he looked good. So, there's nothing better than experience. So at least now those guys, as they come to work this week, I think it'll be way more serious to them, and it'll be way more real to them.
Do you see Clay Johnston or John Carlo being ready this week?
Clay should be ready this week, and I'm hopeful for Morgan and John Carlo. I'm hopeful.
Matt, was Charlie just hit on that last play, or was he already nursing anything with the back? Or
no, he was just hit. He ran an option play and got hit, and exactly how it all. I was visiting with him last night, and I don't think he was 100% sure what it was. And I think. I think just because of where it was, I think he wanted to go back in the game. I think they took his helmet from him. I didn't know until it was his time to go in. They kind of let me know, hey, he's down right now. So he probably was okay. But I think the doctors sounds like just anytime it's obviously your back and around your spine and all that, they wanted to make sure that they got him over and got X-ray or MRI and whatever they did.
I
third down conversion percentage, is that a concern to you?
Yeah, I'm not happy with it. You know, we probably some of those happened in the second half when we were up, and you know, try to be maybe a little, you know, respectful of the game, and at the same time just, you know, run the ball and stuff. So, but early on, you know, the first drive, you know, we put it I think once in the first half, maybe twice, I can't remember, but you know, one in the red zone was like third and forever, you know, because of the penalty. So, you know, we're not a team that can operate with penalties, you know, and we had 10 last year against UTSA, so that has to be corrected. But the third down percentage was not what we wanted. And really the ones that bothered me are the 2 3rd and 2s we couldn't get, you know, and really just a couple mistakes, you know. And so that was an emphasis for us, was being better this year in short yardage, being better in the goal line. The goal line was better, the short yardage was not. And so we'll have to correct that this week. And, you know, that's, again, last year they held us to 18%, UTSA did, and they had 38 minutes of time of possession. And so it's hard to win that way. And so we'll have to do a much better job this year than we did last week or last year.
Have you watched tape of UTSA yet? And if so, how do they compare to the team that you saw here last year?
So I watched the game. Yeah, I watched the game from Saturday, and it's just a game that got away from them. I mean, they look fast and athletic. I mean, they've got elite players on defense, and it just got away. You know, they gave up a big play early, and then they throw a pick for a touchdown. But then they sit there throughout the rest of that half, man. They're keeping it close, and then, you know, Arizona State got, you know, just pulled away. But I know who they are, and I know Frank Wilson, and I know that those guys are going to be ready to play on Saturday. And I know Kevin Strong, and I know I'm messed up the middle linebacker's middle name, and I have too much respect for him to do that. But number 55 is one of the, like at the end of the year, they sit back and we sit there and they go through the Big 12 and you're voting on it, and they're saying who the best players you saw. And there were some kids from UTSA that I'd have voted first team all Big 12, and I mean that, starting with 55. And you know, he's just that level of player. And they're a defense that you have to be aware of everything that they do. They're going to play us in man. They're going to line up and, you know, attack us, and we have to attack them back. And so that's what makes for a good, fun football game. And yeah, it just kind of got away from them. And hopefully we know we're going to get their best on Saturday.
How much do you relish the opportunity to, even though you're playing away from home, you're still playing in the state of Texas, right down the road in front of the fans in San Antonio?
I think it's awesome. You know, and I tell our kids in recruiting all the time, man, we're playing 9 games a year in the state of Texas. So, you know, over the course of your 4 years, you're going to have a chance to play in 36 games, you know, in driving distance. And so I love away games. I love going to the hotel. You know, I like kind of the, you know, the bunker mentality of kind of getting, you know, your 70 guys in there, and it's all about us. And but at the same time, it's nice to not go too far. You know, it's not nice to not have to get on an airplane. And so we'll, I think we're stopping at Salt Lake on the way there, so that should be a nice thing for our guys. And then we'll get down there on Friday and play in front of family and friends, and go down and see all of our, you know, friends in San Antonio, and have a chance to play in the Dome's awesome, and to play against a team that we have respect for and that we have relationships with. I think makes it all that much better.
Matt, I know both of them gave a lot of credit to the offensive line, but are Jermichael and Lovett just a year better than they were last year?
Yep, yeah, they definitely are. And I just thought, you know, even the way, you know, Jermichael, we worked really hard on from last year of not, you know, kind of dancing and making moves, but to trust his speed. And he hit those balls, you know, and I thought it was both long runs were zone reads too. So I thought the quarterbacks did an elite job of their looks where they're thinking, hey, if I pull it, I'm going to have a big play. And I thought they showed the maturity to read it out and, you know, read the end. And I thought the O-line did a good job. And I'll just say this, on both those plays was elite level downfield blocking by 2 of the 3 receivers, you know, and maybe on those plays it might have even been 3. So I think you put all those things together and you start to realize, hey, you know, we don't want to be like a foot away from big plays. You know, we don't want to just rely on other team making mistakes for big plays. We want to create them. And so both guys, I think, hitting it and trusting the guys around them is a fun thing to see.
Can you play 2 quarterbacks long term, or are you eventually going to try to say this is our guy?
I just don't really think that way enough. Probably I'm so like, hey, this is what I think is right now. You know, this is what I think is right for today. You know, I've seen a lot of people do it. You know, people have you know, won, you know, doing it. So I've never done it though. So I mean, full disclosure, I've played one guy. So, but I'm going to do what's right today. You know, I mean, like if I would have said, hey, I'm just going to play one, and then Charlie would have got banged up. You know, if I had just started Charlie and played Charlie, and then he got banged up, but I had to put Jalen in. I don't want any of our guys to get hurt, but the good thing is at least Jalen had been in the game and in the flow of the game, and there's going to come a point this year where someone's going to have to go in and play, and I want to make sure they're all ready. I want to make sure they're all battle tested and game tested, and so I'll take it one day at a time. The quarterbacks will take it one day at a time. My goal for each of them is not for them to be the starting quarterback, but for them to be great quarterbacks. And I think this is pushing both of them. This competition has pushed both of them beyond where they would have been if they weren't battling for this job. And I think both of them have a chance to be great quarterbacks. And I think both of them are going to have tremendous careers here and beyond. And I'll take it day by day, but my only focus is making sure that both guys are good. So I'll probably plan on playing both this week. I can tell you that much. And if I think beyond this week, though, then I'd be lying to you.
Y'all struggled last year in those short yardage situations at the goal line. Was it kind of nice when you saw JaMychal Hasty run it in from 3 yards out and you're like, hey, we did it?
That's right. That's my, that's at the end of the day, like, that was, you go back and you look at things from last year, and, I'm kind of an incrementalist, like, hey, fix this, and we can be a lot better. And, to be able to line up and, kind of everyone knows what play we're running. They know what play we're running, it's just, this is the play we're going to run on the goal line. And just to be able to get it in. And I think the great thing was everyone did their job. And then there was an unblocked defender, which we know, and JaMychal found a way to get it in anyway. And so that was fun. And then, later in the game, we were in a different, from the 3-yard line, and Lovett ran it in. So those are fun things for me to see that we're making some progress. Not nearly where we need to be. We're going to face a much, we're going to face a really, 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 really physical, fast defense with a lot of different looks. And so it'll be a true test, in terms of the run game.
First game with the new redshirt rule, did it play out Saturday like you hoped and planned?
Yeah, I think because they kind of, it would have been a bit different story had we kind of held them down in the first half. But because they had some of those points late, made it more of a game into the second half. So, like Squirrel, I remember how I pulled Squirrel over on the sideline. It was just like 9 minutes left. I'd love to put him in, but I didn't want to burn him, because I really think at some point Squirrel's going to have a major role for us this year. And so, we talked about it, and I said, I just went with my gut. I said, my gut, Squirrel's not the player right now. He said, Coach, go with your gut. So it's just kind of one of those deals where you're talking about those things in that scenario. Gary, because I didn't know the extent of Charlie's injury. So they just tell me like, hey, he's down and it's his back. And I'm asking like, do we know anything? They didn't know anything. So, that was kind of, hey, should I put Gary in and give him some live game reps or not? So it was maybe a little different than I thought. And, now that you go on the road, you're taking less people. We're not allowed to take as many people. So it maybe makes the decisions a little bit easier when you're on the road than when you're at home.
You mentioned the different looks that you're going to be seeing from UTSA. Does it help that Tecklenburg and the quarterbacks got to see a lot of different looks from ACU and can prepare?
Yes, absolutely. Great question. They threw everything at us, too. I mean, I texted their defensive coordinator, Tremaine Jackson, and it was like, that was like, he did like the history of football. I mean, it was like bear defense, man defense, odd defense. I mean, he ran everything that you can run. And some of it gave us problems, but I thought Tech did a really nice job. And we have some really smart guys that are like, starting to think like second and third level, and like they're telling me what's happening, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. So that's the level of play coming from Tecklenburg in terms of the intelligence, and from Blackmar and all those guys. So we'll see another defense that's going to line up and play us in bear and play us in man, and the blitzes are a little bit different, and we also know we don't know what they're going to do. Like they're very exotic in terms of game plan specific. And they're guys. The guys at UTSA do such a great job on defense. The players of handling it. So we'll try to see what they're in and utilize our rules and hope that our center and our quarterbacks can get us in the right protections and the right plays. And because versus a team like this, you can't waste a play.
Matt, the punt return issues. Do you attribute that to the different style kicking, or how do you fix that part? I guess.
Well, at first it wasn't acceptable, right? And so I loved their demeanor on the field. It was like I walked over to Hurd and Tony, and they were kind of like, we'll get it corrected. Talking to each other like, hey, we got to communicate better. There's sort of an axiom, don't make a bad play worse. And I thought that happened. The quarterbacks did a good job of not making a bad play worse the other night. But that short punt, just poison, get everyone away from it. We have the ball. Let's get the ball back. Let's not beat ourselves. And so I hate that it happened, but it's better it happens in a win so we can correct it than it happens in a loss. And they were rugby punting, and we adjusted. So as we go out this week, we talked about third down. We talked about our PAT, field goal protection, wasn't what we wanted. We let a kickoff get out to the 35 or 40, whatever it was. And we obviously weren't happy with the punt returns. The one thing I know about Jalen Hurd is he probably already caught 50 balls yesterday without us even knowing, and so it was good to see at the end once we fielded one. Great return by Tony. Tony probably didn't get to play as much as he wanted. We should have probably played him more, but he got his opportunity on punt return and a 23-yard return, and really he's one block, one effort play away from a touchdown maybe. So we have to get it corrected, but I'd rather see those things early game one and try to fix them.
Your two transfers really played well, the end and the quarterback. Had they been doing that well in practice?
Yeah, they've both Jalen's really had played that well in practice, and Lockhart was a transfer in mid-year when we got there last year on the defensive line, and he had a sack. So those, one of the nice things about those guys is they sat there for a year. They were in the system. They were with us. So they're almost like freshmen in that, they've been there for a year with us. It was their first action. And I think the biggest thing was you could just see how excited they were to play. When you've sat out a year and if you've played and then you transfer and sit out and you have to watch, I think it really makes you hungry to play again. And so, when Hurd scored a touchdown, I was waiting. He hadn't played since October of 2 years ago. I had no idea what he was going to do. I was afraid he was going to dunk the ball or something like that because he's just that much of a competitor. It was really cool to see him score a touchdown. I go running at his teammates to celebrate with them. And so I was happy for those guys. And I said it after the game. I'll say it again. We have so many guys, that have their own story, and they've come from all these different places, and we just want to see them all be successful. And so not everyone had as much success as they wanted last night, but as a team they did, or the other night, but as a team they did. So it was fun to see those guys. But yeah, they've all, there's not many guys that did something crazy in the game that they hadn't done in practice. Most guys that went out there really practiced pretty well. And, a lot of guys went out there and showed what they could do, I thought.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you.